This morning in Ottawa, the Liberals made an announcement, a very serious one, that they are planning to work with the Bloc Québécois to criminalize religious belief in Canada. If you don't believe me, here is a national news story. Liberals deal with the Bloc means hate speech laws will lose exemption for sincerely held religious belief. I am going to break down for you what this means. This is the Liberals are about to criminalize religious belief in Canada. I'm going to break this down for you in detail on what's happening, but I need you to do two things. I need you to share this video, and I also need you to click on the link that's in the comments and click subscribe, because I'm going to be writing about this, and we know that existing Liberal censorship bills prevent information like this from getting out. So again, what the Liberals have announced this morning that we're all dealing with on Parliament Hill is that they intend to criminalize religious belief. And I'm going to explain to you how. I know this sounds like this can't be happening, but it is. And this information is going to help you understand why and communicate it to people. And regardless of how you vote, if this passes, freedom of religious belief is what makes Canada Canada. And they're about to try and stop that. So please share this video. Please help me get this word out. Everybody needs to fight this. So what is happening? Let me break this down for you. So the Liberals introduced a bill a few months ago. It's called Bill C9. It is another censorship bill. It's a thought crime bill. Conservatives have been actively opposing it. But what it does is it hands the government powerful new tools to decide what the courts will consider as hate speech. So we all know that when the Liberals try to define something as hate speech, it is, the purpose of it is to stop communication of different ideas. And I'm going to get into how existing hate speech laws are not enforced by the Liberal government, but let me break down what C9, this new bill, does. So it lowers the bar for hatred. It removes key safeguards and creates vague new crimes that can be stretched to silence dissent. So that's what Bill C9 does. It creates a new vague definition of hatred, and it replaces extreme detestation with just detestation or vilification. These are very vague terms that could be used to describe almost anything. And again, for people who are like, oh, no, that's not the case. That's exactly what's in the bill. The second thing that it does is it removes the Attorney General's consent so that police can charge you directly with no higher level filter. And it opens the door, frankly, and my concern is that it opens the door for politically motivated arrests. It does a few other things, but these are key elements on why Conservatives have been opposing this bill. And this morning, what they've done is they've announced that the one or two safeguards that were in here, they want to remove them so that it'll be easier to criminalize religious thought. Now, in committee on this bill already, we've seen the Liberals talk about criminalizing certain types or muse about criminalizing certain types of religious thought. So this isn't something that's esoteric. They've already thought about this, and I'm going to get more on proof on why this is a big problem in a second. But here's the thing, guys. There's already existing laws that deal with hate speech in Canada, and they're not being enforced. We know that we have a massive problem with anti-Semitism in Canada, but the government already has tools that they can use to prosecute these types of issues, and they're not. So for example, the criminal code under section 319(1), it's already an offense to publicly incite hatred. 319(2) to promote hatred. 319(7) makes it clear that there are certain gestures and signs can promote hatred as well. But the government and activist courts have not, or police have chosen not to actually enforce these. So we already have these laws on the books. And the government, you've all watched the government sit idly by while police refuse to enforce certain types of laws in situations where, frankly, Jewish Canadians are being targeted, right? So these laws are already on the books, and the government is refusing to enforce them. But now they've got this new bill where they're saying that they will make an amendment so that there is no exceptions for religious belief, essentially. So that's a huge problem. What else is the problem, guys? Well, we know that activist courts and police that are not enforcing existing laws are problematic. where has the, my leader, the conservative leader, Pierre Poilievre, we've been talking about how the government has refused to do anything or even acknowledged that church burnings are a problem, right? This article is just from last month. The article is 3 charges of burning near century-old church in central Alberta. Where is the inquiry on this? Why aren't existing laws being used to prevent this from happening? I think about the fact that the government went out of their way to jail pastors during the pandemic. The government has stood idly by while shouts of death to Canada have been, held in our streets over the last 2 years. And frankly, even when you look at the government not enforcing laws that are already on the books to keep people safe, I mean, we could go in any direction. You could look at how they have a catch and release system for people with serious crime. How it looks like they're going to vote against my bill to stop courts from giving non-citizens who've been convicted of serious crimes leniency in order so that they can avoid deportation. And now they want us to believe that somehow this new thought crime bill won't be used against law-abiding Canadians. Of course not. This is another Liberal attempt to control speech, and now they're going into freedom of religion. And regardless of how you vote, this should be a huge concern for you. It should be a concern for every Canadian of every faith. The ability to worship without persecution from the government at the very least is a foundational principle of Canadian national identity and Canadian law. This is something that the government shouldn't be eroding. And here we've got Liberal deal with block means hate speech laws will lose exemption for sincerely held religious belief. This is what we're dealing with in Ottawa, folks. You have to share this video. Please click on the link that is in the comments. I'll be writing about this. If you click on the link in the comments, it allows me to directly communicate with you and not rely. We know that all of these social media platforms, they're now subject to Liberal censorship laws. So if by some chance you're lucky enough to see this today, please share this video to help me get the word out, but also click on the link in the comments so I can directly communicate with you. Folks, we will be fighting this tooth and nail, the Conservatives will, but in order to help us do that, you have to get this word out, the word out. And again, today, I just want to reemphasize what the Liberals are doing. They are trying to criminalize religious thought. That is exactly what this is. That is exactly what it's meant to do. And if they were serious about protecting certain faith groups that have been absolutely seen, just absolutely persecuted to a certain extent in Canada over the last several years, then they would be enforcing laws that are already on the books. And they would be doing more to ensure that people who want to see those protections used aren't silenced, which is exactly what they're trying to do with these bills. Bill after bill, year after year, we've seen the Liberals try to introduce more censorship laws, more censorship bills. In fact, if you're watching this on Facebook, for example, you can't even see Canadian news because of Liberal censorship laws. So folks, again, if you vote Liberal or NTP, fine. But you have to call your MP and say this is a line too far. There shouldn't be thought police in Canada on religious belief. This is crazy. This is antithetical to what it means to be Canadian. So again, we are opposing this. We will oppose this tooth and nail. Every Conservative is going to oppose this. Folks, just to understand what's happening today is the Liberals are proposing to essentially criminalize religious thought and religious belief. And this is happening in Canada, a G7 country. It has to be stopped. Share this video, click on the link that's in the comments to stay updated. And we're going to be working hard on this, but help us get the word out. Working hard for you on a very serious day in Ottawa. Have a great day.